I really got into a very introspective mode. I don't mind saying this, I made some real leaps in my spiritual life that has been truly a gift. And this past year has just been tremendous for this past year. So what I want to do is I want you to write down questions. This talk, I'm going to call it the 7 questions. It's up to you if these questions will change your life or not, but these questions are questions that you have to answer. I can't answer for you. I think the importance of you being able to answer the question will really determine your trajectory in the future. You know how we ask questions to our clients to figure out, number 1, do they deserve to be a client? Number 2, can I help them with what they need? And the only way you know that is by asking questions. So I know just said we have a mix of people on here, people that want to, build a massive organization and take over the world. And we got people that maybe just started, or people that are starting to get into the groove of doing the Monday, Thursday dial calls and so forth. All these questions apply to you. And I'm going to ask these questions from my perspective, being in the business 25 years and, being an old guy, right? I've got a lot more experience under my belt. But sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, but I'm still growing. So I just want you all to know that I am still being mentored by Andy Albright and other people that I respect and love and care about, me and want me to continue to grow in all aspects of my life. So I continue to be mentored. So I don't want you to think that like I'm the High Lama that's preaching from the top of a mountain. I am right next to you going through this journey we call life. But I think there are certain things that you need to realize, that I need to realize, and as young as some of y'all are, man, it's one of those, I wish I knew this when, but I'm glad I know it now. Okay, so maybe you'll be able to glean some things off of here, and hopefully I won't offend you, but maybe sometimes we need to be offended, because what offending does is it makes us rethink our paradigms. The first question when you feel offended is, why do I feel offended? Is what that person's saying truth? If it's truth and I'm offended, there must be something wrong with how I'm thinking about something. So keep thinking about that whole idea of why do I feel offended? If it's not truthful, number 1, you shouldn't feel offended because it's not truthful. If it is truthful and you're feeling offended, then you got to think about how you're thinking about stuff. So let's jump in. 7 questions that will change your life if you choose to. So here's the first question. What do you value? What do you value? So Socrates, a quote from Socrates, the unexamined life is not worth living. When did you ever slow down? And I'm not talking after New Year's to do a resolution, where you slow down and really spent quality time by yourself or with a spouse, in examining what you value. So what do I mean by what you value? So when I ask you that question, you're going to tell me stuff like, Alex, I value my family. I love my wife and my children. Awesome. What else do you value in your life? Well, it's financial stability. Rock on. Awesome. And I'm not in a position to judge because I'm not judging what you value. What I want to know is if you know. Now, how do I know that some of y'all don't know what you value? Here's the litmus test. If I were a fly in the wall and I followed you around and watched you spend your time, could I convict you in the court of law that you really value what you say you value? Like, you tell me you value your family, and I follow you around over the course of a week, and I don't see you helping your kids with homework, or I don't see you bringing your kids to church. I don't see you having conversations with your children and finding out how their lives are going. Like, if you value that, how come you're not doing that? And I think in my life, my greatest frustrations and anxiety always came about when what I did not match what I valued. And it created this whole sense of interior hypocrisy, because I profess one thing and I do another. And it just drove me crazy. It was like, why do I feel so frustrated? And you guys know what I'm talking about. It's that frustration where you don't know. You don't know why you're frustrated. The worst frustration is you don't know why. It's the worst frustration, because the frustration where an agent calls you and they drive you crazy, you know why they're driving you crazy, because they never listen to you. You already know that. So, it drives you crazy, but okay, whatever. But the frustration that you have that you don't know why is what will drive you nuts. And typically it's because what you value does not line up. It's incongruent with what you're doing. So that's why I ask the question, what do you value? The second one kind of the corollary question is, are you doing what you value, right? Matthew Kelly wrote a book called Off Balance, Getting Beyond the Work-Life Balance Myth to Personal and Professional Satisfaction. That book will change your paradigm on the concept of work-life balance, because the concept of work-life balance does not exist. It's a veil. It's a way to keep you down from your potential, because the world which is ruled by the enemy is trying to separate out, it's either this or this. And when you create a life worth living, a life of value, a life that's joyful, a life that's full of fulfillment, is that everything that you do satisfies both. There is no such thing as work-life balance because you are living an abundant life, right? And I'll get to that at the end, but you have to get the book and do the exercise, because what he does is it makes you go through an exercise of what do you value, list them all, and then what are the most important things that you value, because you can write down family, friends, right? Working out, financial, retirement, going to the movies, all these things that you have fun doing, that you value, going to concerts, your spiritual life. Oh, by the way, he forces you to rank order them by doing an A/B comparison on each one. Got to do it, because this will blow you away, because then you're going to know the top things that you value, and then you know how to live your life according to those top things that you value. And some of you think, well, I love being healthy. Let me ask you this. Do you love being healthy compared to spending time with your wife? Well, time with my wife wins. Okay, do you value your health compared to hanging out with friends? Well, my health is more important. Everything you value be compared against the other ones. And when you come out of that exercise, you're going to know what's important to you. So then the question is, what are you doing to be congruent with what you value? And then the ultimate question in this, what do you value, is how do you define success in those things you value? How do you define success? Because that success, how you define success, what comes out of that will give you the goals that you want to achieve. Goals not only in the business, but goals in what you want to accomplish in your life. What do you ultimately want to accomplish with your relationship with your children, right? It's huge. What do you value? So I start with the most important question. What do you value? Here's the next one. What are you doing to get better? What are you doing in your life to improve yourself? What are you doing to be better today than you were yesterday? What are all the things around you? Because here's what I know to be true, is that if you do nothing to improve yourself, you're doing everything to be worse. When you do nothing to improve yourself, you're doing everything to be worse. Look, you were made in the image and likeness of God, but because Adam and Eve did what they did, now we got to work. So we can work to be better, or we can do nothing to be worse, right? Well, Alex, what do you mean? Like, are you committed to a daily program of education? Are you learning something every day that you didn't know before? Well, I read my book every day. God, thank you. What kind of books are you reading, right? Is it a Star Trek novel? Like I used to do Star Trek novels all the time because I love Captain Kirk, and he always won the alien woman. The green woman, the one with ears, whatever. He always seemed to nail I'm sorry, I don't mean like that, but he always I used to love those novels, right? Until I got into business, which taught me, what is that novel? How is that changing my life for the better, where I'm making more money or I'm thinking better than I was thinking before? So book reading, are you committed to daily reading? Or you do it every day? Who are you being mentored by? Who are you listening to? Are the mentors you are choosing, do they have the fruit on the tree? Because here's a serious question under this idea of what are you doing to get better? Are you choosing your mentors, or are people mentoring you by default? Which is scary when you think about it, because before this business, you were hanging around all your broke friends, and do you know the money you were making was probably about 10 grand up or down from your people you were hanging out with. Now, I know you love your friends, but are you hanging around your friends? Are they helping you become wealthy? Now, hanging around certain people will help you in your spiritual life or help you in relationship with your family. Rock on. Those are great mentors in those areas. But if you're like mentorship by default, then man, woe is you, okay? Because you didn't choose your relationships and your mentorship because of a specific value that you cared about. Do you see how values will inform the mentors that you put in your life? Do they have the fruit on the tree? Are you listening to the right audio programs? As much as I love listening to ESPN radio, is that helping me in my relationships with my agents, with my wife? Is it helping me financially? Is it helping me to think better, improving my thinking from today than I did yesterday? Are you actively getting around physically the people that you want to hang out with? I mean, it's cool if you paid a mentor, $2,500 a month to gain mentorship on Zoom. But man, the first thing I would try to do is I'd like to go have lunch with them or whatever, get with them. Are you actively getting around them? Here's the thing. The decision you have to make in this question is, do you want to be a journeyman hobbyist in any area of your life? Like, can you imagine being a hobbyist in your relationship with your spouse? Or do you want to be a professional? Do you want to be the best, world-class in all the things that you value? Do you want to be a world-class father, a world-class mother? Do you want to be world-class in your business? Because how you treat your education will determine whether or not you're world-class. Because if you decide not to be, then you're a journeyman hobbyist. You're treating your business as a hobby. You're treating your wife as a temporary girlfriend, my humble but accurate opinion. And those of you who've been divorced, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, okay? That's the second question. What are you doing to get better? So what do you value? What are you doing to get better? Here's another one. And by the way, I'm convicting myself in all these, okay? So it's not always you, it's Alex, it's me, okay? I'm always checking myself on these things. Here's another one. Are you taking care of the temple that God gave you? The temple is your body, right? What habits do you have that are helping your health or detracting from your health? Like, what are you doing that's hurting your health? Because you're either doing something that's keeping you healthy or making you healthy, or you're doing stuff, habits and eating stuff that is junk, that's killing your body, right? Are you eating the right foods? Are you getting the proper exercise? Because here's one of the most important things is the most important ability is availability. And when you're in a hospital trying to deal with ailments, that's less time you're spending with the things you value. So why don't you put time into your health so you can prevent a shorter life, a miserable life, a life that's in a hospital all the time. You all know what I'm talking about when you walk into a home and that person is on an oxygen tank because they've been lifelong smokers and they're like 50 years old. You've seen them. You've written down all their medications. And every time I've walked into those houses, it's like, there but for the grace of God go I. God gave you a body. It's the temple of the Holy Spirit. And if you defile the temple, I don't think God's happy about that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's move on. So that's the third question. Are you taking care of the temple that God gave you? Question number 4, do you have the drive to work your butt off? Like, are the things that you value so important to you? Is it worthy enough to work your butt off for? Like, think about all the things you've worked your butt off for. And I'm not talking about trying to keep a job, because sometimes, the boss says, come, you're going to be working this weekend because we're crashing a project. And so you work the weekend. You work because you have to, or otherwise you lose your job. I'm not talking about that. Think about the things that you cared about. You worked your butt off. You pulled all-nighters for, that you prepared like crazy for. And it probably turned out awesome because you worked your butt off, right? Because the opposite of that is being a fish floating downstream. And drive comes from what you value and that you've realized the thing you need to do is so important that if you don't do it, you'd rather die if you didn't do it. How you think about what you value will determine this drive, how much work you put behind it, and are you thinking about it all the time? I always think about this. The thing I think about all the time is what I do. And so the thing you value, you need to be thinking about all the time and have reminders around you so it gets you off your butt. See, think about drive is whether you feel good or bad, you still do it in spite of you feeling good or bad because you have to do it. So here's the best analogy that I could put towards this. Some of y'all with children know what I'm talking about. You and your wife are sitting in bed, and then you hear your daughter throwing up in the room next door. And then you look at each other as like, should we go see what's wrong? Let's just go back to bed because we really need to get up early and we need our sleep. No, you don't do that. They're throwing up in the room next door. You are going to go figure out what the heck's going on with them. You don't even think about it. It does not become a decision. There's no decision. See, the decision you made was having sex to produce a child. That's the decision you made. And now you're a parent, and inherent in that responsibility is you go check on your child when they're sick. Oh, by the way. So Are you doing things that you care about that you don't even make a decision? Like we say, we got National Boot Camp. You don't make a decision on should I go or should I not go. Decisions already been made because you identify as a leader in the alliance, as a producer in the alliance, and your identity as a producer includes, oh, by the way, going to all the events. Your identity as a parent includes you go look after your child when they're throwing up. You don't even think about it because your identity is who you are. And who you are is someone that values these things, right? So here's another thing on this. Do you have the drive? Are you getting the right advice on how to work and what to work on to achieve the things you value? It's great that you have the drive, but are you going in the right direction? Are you going the right direction efficiently? Are you doing everything you can to do the right things? And the only way you know that is you're not going to ever know that before you start something. You have to get around the people that have already done it. They've already cleared the minefield for you. You just have to walk down. Now you're going to have, your journey is your journey. Your journey is something that you will be proud of the scars that you earn in this business and in life, because the scars are what made you. Your scars you should be proud of. Your scars shouldn't be something you should hide, but your scars you should be proud of, because those scars are what you overcame to be who you are today. And if you're on this path of improvement and getting to be what God wanted you to be, his vision for you to be the best version of yourself, which is really my word for being the best version of yourself is achieving holiness, all right, sanctification and holiness, then be proud of your scars. Be proud of earning your scars. Be proud of the pain that you had to pay to get there, because out of suffering comes the beauty and joy, right, of achieving and overcoming. And it really is joy. So you're getting the right advice. Next question. What's your game plan when things don't work out, or if you have some kind of emergency? What's your game plan when things don't work out? If you've ever made a goal, like a level goal, I'm going to hit JBM, I'm going to hit SBM, I'm going to hit EVP, I'm going to hit agency manager, and you hit it, okay, that was lucky. Most of us in the business are never where we thought we would be, but we're glad we are where we are because we know that we're still moving forward. I've never hit any level goal that I've made for myself. But here's what I learned to do is I learned to make decisions before the tragedy things that would be tragic for someone else. I already knew what I was going to do. It's like make the decision beforehand. So my parents are like 91, 92. At one point, I know I'm going to get the call that one of them passed away. I know. Like when you're 40 years old and your parents are like, 60, and maybe they'll pass away, but maybe not. You're not thinking that it's imminent. Well, when they're 92 and 91, it could happen any time. So you don't think that I've already made in my mind how I'm going to react. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to do what I need to do, right? I've got a plan already in place on how I'm going to feel. I'm not going to go hysterical. I'm not going to go emotional. I'm not going to, I will be emotional, but I will not let my emotion rule my decision making. Because when you let emotions rule your decision making, that's a pathway to not a good place. So I'm a big advocate of putting a game plan for anything that happens. Now, here's the thing. Everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the face. My question is, what is your game plan after you get punched in the face? Because the most prepared people are the ones that have that game plan, because you're going to get punched in the face. Like, for example, when you get that massive chargeback from annuity that everyone said no one ever cancels annuity, and then you owe back 20 grand because they canceled their annuity, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to freak out and call upline? Alex, they were supposed to keep that annuity. Did you spend that money? You call me and bitching about taxes. Oh my God, Alex, I didn't put away money for taxes. I didn't blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, shouldn't you have maybe asked that question before? What is your plan to handle adversity? Because you will have it. You have to have a plan. This is how you know in advance how you're going to deal with stuff, especially the unknown unknowns is stuff that, but if you can handle all the known that could go wrong, you'll be all right, man. So it's really the skill of resourcefulness, being resourceful in overcoming these things. What's resourcefulness? It's knowing who to call, who to get advice from, the ability of things that you can do and the things you can't do. Who do you know that can do those other things? Being totally prepared like a Boy Scout, Girl Scout. Okay. Resourcefulness. My dad taught me resourcefulness, to the point where I'm firstborn. So I didn't need anybody. That was the hardest thing for me working with Andy is I'll figure it out mentality. Some of you firstborns know what I'm talking about. I had to get out of that mentality, but I had to know, who do I call? Like I got sued for putting an ad in New York saying no felons, like never put an ad excluding anybody because I got sued on it. And so it's like, oh my gosh, I get this lawsuit and okay, I'm going to call the first one I know that's probably got these lawsuits before. I called Andy. Andy said, I'm going to get my best lawyer on it. We got it. All right, cool. I'm fired up. I didn't have to worry about it because I know Andy, cost me $5,000. We settled for $500. They wanted like $50,000. Anyway, the bottom line is I didn't panic because I knew Andy would recommend what I could do, what I should do. So you got to know who to call and people who do things that you're unable to do. And then it comes down to, when it comes to emergencies, is what's your attitude? See, because you can choose your attitude before these things happen. If you choose to have a resourceful, positive attitude that it's going to be okay, then it's going to be okay. All that anxiety that you're dealing with is a choice. And I'll get to the last question, which is why I don't worry anymore, which is a fruit of where I am spiritually right now. Like, I don't worry anymore. What do you mean don't worry about stuff? I don't worry anymore. Anyway. This is all about attitude. What is your game plan? The game plan is choosing the proper attitude to deal with it and then know what to do when it happens, right? Next question. How are you on the virtue of perseverance? Have you developed perseverance? Perseverance is a virtue. Virtues are things there are virtues that you pray for called theological virtues, which is faith, hope, and charity. Those are the ones you should pray for every day, okay? The other ones, like perseverance and temperance, which is keeping your emotions in the middle, right? Perseverance is a virtue that you can work on every day. Perseverance is a habit. Perseverance is a virtue that involves continuing to pursue your goals despite challenges, difficulties, and discouragement. It's a strength that's part of the virtue. Other virtues that are correlated to this are courage, honesty, bravery. Bravery is kind of a form of courage, but it's a virtue, and it's a virtue that can be worked on, a virtue that you can develop. Perseverance is a habit. It's an attitude. Here's how I define it. So faith, hope, and charity. Hope is a theological virtue. Perseverance is hope put into action. It's extreme, maximum hope. That's why you got to pray for hope. Pray for the virtue of hope, because when you have hope, you will get perseverance, because hope coupled with the things you value and the ability to work your butt off for it will give you the perseverance you need to get through any junk that you're going to go through, and you will go through junk. It's the extreme hope that defies despair. You guys know what despair is like when you feel like there's no hope. You get a foreclosure on your house. You're going through a divorce. Things where it involves other people that you're going down the road and there's nothing you can do about it. That can be a feeling of despair. But perseverance will help you get through the hope of something better. There's a philosopher in the 5th century who wrote, it's Heraclitus, okay, a philosopher that wrote in the 5th century about men on the battlefield. Man, this one spoke to me, Joseph. This one spoke to me. He wrote, out of every 100 men, 10 shouldn't be there, 80 are just targets, 9 are real fighters, and we are lucky to have them, for they make the battle, but one is a warrior. One is a warrior. And you have the ability to choose to be that warrior. It's not a percentage. Well, out of 100 agents, we're going to find one warrior. No, man. You choose to be the 1 out of 100. 1 out of 100 of your contemporaries of your age. You can choose to be that warrior. It's a choice. Only you can master your mind, which is what it takes to live a bold life filled with accomplishment that most people consider beyond their ability. See, this is how you separate yourself. You choose to be that 1 out of 100 warrior because you're the one that masters yourself, which is really, when you look at all these questions, that's kind of the underlying theme here, isn't it? Next question. The last question, the 7th question. Have you filled the hole in your heart with the only one that will satisfy it? God created a hole in your heart that only He can satisfy. And all the frustrations and despair in life can only be filled with God in your life. So my last question is, have you filled that hole? Do you have a relationship with God? Do you have a spiritual aspect to what you're pursuing in your life? Is that something that you value? Because I think in the end, I don't know if any of you are atheists or agnostics or whatever, I don't believe that's a really good position to be in, because how can you ever have hope without the ultimate hope? The hope that God created you, He loves you, He sent His Son to die for you because you have value. He doesn't love you. Your value does not come because He loves you. It's because you have value that He loves you, right? Why is there something then nothing? You ever think about that? Why is there something? How can something come out of nothing? The Big Bang. Like, how does that happen? No one could ever tell you that. The reason why that happened is because God was here before time and space. God was here before time and space. So all these, anyway, I'm not going to get too deep into this, although I want to. God exists because something cannot come out of nothing. God created everything. He also created free will for us to choose. And here's who is the ruler of the world, the enemy, Satan. He's the ruler. Oh, by the way, he exists. And oh, by the way, he's trying to bring you to hell. He's trying to tell you you're not worthy. He's trying to tell you you're not worth it. He's trying to put this crap in your head. He's the great accuser. Whenever you feel like you're being accused of being less than you are, it's coming from the enemy. And when those thoughts get in your head, know who's trying to put you down, because you were made a 10 in the image of the likeness of God. When we get born, the ruler of the world tells us you're not worthy. You're not worth it. How dare you think you deserve to be a child of God? How dare you deserve to be a kid of the King? How dare you deserve the abundant life that he has for you? Whenever you're being accused, you're being accused by the enemy, right? St. Paul says, either one lives in service to sin and remains in spiritual bondage, or one lives in obedience to God and enjoys liberation from sin's captivity. It's a stark either or, gang. It's an either or. There's no fence sitting in this question. There is no third option. It's either or. Luke 11:21-22. When a strong man, fully armed, guards his own palace, his goods are safe. But when one stronger than he attacks him and overcomes him, he takes away all his armor in which he is trusted and divides his spoils. So let me tell you who these people are. The strong man is the enemy, is Satan. His palace is the world, because he's ruler of the world. His goods are humankind. He wants to guard you so he can take you to hell. And guess who the stronger one is? Jesus Christ. He's the stronger one. For thus says the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken, and the prey of the tyrant be rescued. For I will contend with those who contend with you, and I will save your children. Then all flesh shall know that I am the Lord your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. So Jesus on the cross, why did he have to be on the cross? Because he's showing us the love of the Father. He's making atonement. He's becoming sin for us, and he's going to war to rescue us. So, gang, the bottom line is you are worthy because you are a child of God. You are worthy. Any crap that you don't think you can do this, you don't think, it's coming from the wrong place, the wrong dude. He's the ruler of the world. But the guy that's taken over the world already came. And you have to understand that everything that you care about and value without having a relationship with God means nothing without that. And this is how you can have an abundant life, because you know whose you are, and you know now that you're worthy to have an abundant life because he gave you the desire of the things that you value. So why wouldn't he give you the grace to accomplish every single one of those? What you have to do, what I have to do, is lean on that through my faith, but I have to work, because if I don't work, I don't eat. That's the world we live in. But I'm going to show the Lord that I'm doing everything I can to serve him in everything I do, right? And all the things I value. Above all, I value my relationship with God through his son, Jesus Christ. And I will live my life that way. And I don't live a life anymore of worry and anxiety, honestly. This is the best therapy I've ever had, is knowing whose I am. And that everything that happens to me because I put my will into the will of the Father is something that God has planned for me. So I never look at suffering and tragedy as what happened to me. It's what can I learn from this? What is God trying to teach me so I can get to heaven? What is God trying to teach me so I can bring others with me there? It's not just about me. It's who else can I bring to the party? And my life is a life lived because I know that by living this life and doing the best I can in all the things I value will attract other people to maybe walk the same road of joy. Get rid of anxiety that comes from the enemy and live a life of joy and abundance, man. Anyway, that's how I operate. And I hope these 7 questions, if you can answer them, I think it will change your life in an extraordinary way. I think it will help you achieve greatness in all the things that you do, because you know that whose you are. You're a kid of the King, right? And you're worthy. Anyway, thanks, Joseph. I appreciate it. And God bless everybody. Take care. If I can do anything to help you, Joseph knows how to get a hold of me.